Miss Audrine Thomas. Mrs. Barbara Smith, being represented by Rev. Miss Charmaine Wright. Dr. Claudia Dunkley. Dr. Clover Mattox. Mrs. Denise Davidson Clark. Miss Doreen Ogle. Mrs. Jeanette Lawrence. Miss Joy Vincent. Dr. Leonie Clark. Mrs. Lilith Clark Sinclair. Miss Melita Cooper. Mrs. Michelle Sherwood. Mrs. Natalie Wallace Thompson. Miss Norma Jarrett. Mrs. Roslyn Littlebear. Miss Suzette Johnson. And bringing up the rear this morning, Mrs. Versada Campbell. Put your hands together and make all our distinguished awardees feel very welcome. And now that we have invited them in, ladies and gentlemen, could you please stand for the playing of the national anthem of Jamaica? Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. For those of you who have never been to one of these functions, it is a very special affair where women are brought together and the men who support them. We come together to celebrate the work being done in agriculture by women. We can't assemble them all in one room at the same time. And so that is why the Jamaica Agricultural Society has this function where they recognize 20 women each year. This year is a little bit different. They're not only recognizing women, they are recognizing some of the institutions with which these women work. But before we do the formal introduction, before we do all of the awards, before we do the singing, the handshaking, the clapping, and all of the excitement, we have to take it to the Lord in prayer. And so I now invite Reverend Paulette Wright, a phenomenal woman herself, a past awardee, to make her way and to lead us in devotions. Put your hands together for her.
Good morning. We come rejoicing. We come with thanksgiving in our hearts as we celebrate the goodness of God. Let me read for you a portion of scripture from Proverbs 31, 16 to 23. She is like a sailing ship that brings food from across the sea. She gets up early in the morning to prepare food for her family and for her servants. She knows how to buy land and how to plant a vineyard. And she always works hard. She knows when to buy or sell, and she stays busy until late at night. She spins her own cloth and she helps the poor and the needy. Her family has warm clothing, and so she doesn't worry when it snows. She does her own sewing, and everything she wears is beautiful. The word of the Lord. Let us pray. Eternal God, we lift our voices in thanksgiving to you, that in creating, Lord, you spoke, and the world came into being. When you made men, when you made man, you decided that he needed companionship. And so you created woman. And Lord, we thank you that you have made us fearfully and wonderfully. All of us, male and female, created you them. And so this morning, Lord, as we celebrate with the phenomenal women of 2023, we give you thanks for them and their families and the institutions they represent. We thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you for your love. And so, Lord, speak to us as you speak through me, and may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable unto you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. When we look at Proverbs, and it's after Mother's Day, and usually it is read for Mother's Day, and you talk about the woman, the virtuous woman. This morning, I just want us all to put our hands out. Just put your hands out. As you put your hands out, receive your blessings, whether you be male or female, because the hands are powerful. And so we look at the writer in Proverbs, and he says to us, she uses her hands. And that's what women have been using all their life. They use their hands, they cradle the young ones. They use their hands to feed and nurture. They use their hands to create. And as farmers and as agriculturists, we use our hands. We stay busy. But not only our hands, we use our brains, because you notice she knows how to buy land and how to plant a vineyard. She knows when to buy or sell, and she stays busy. Because as an economist, all women are economists. They tell you get a small amount of money, and the husbands and the partners ask, how you do it? Where you get it from? They make it stretch, they make it serve, and they do everything because they are phenomenal. And God has created us phenomenal. And men, don't feel left out, because when you have one in your corner, because all of you have mothers, you know you have phenomenal women around you. And so this morning, I want us to recognize that he gave us hands, he gave us brain, and he has given us more than anything else, wisdom. And it is that wisdom that I pray for all of us, that as we go through each day, we will ask for wisdom. And the word of God tells us that if we ask for wisdom, God wouldn't even ask you why you need it. Because before you ask, he answers. And while you are speaking, he hears you. So today, Phenomenal Women 2023, and all of us are gathered, giving God thanks for his faithfulness, giving God thanks that he has made us wise, giving God thanks that he has made us fearfully and wonderfully. And because of that, we can celebrate all our women, all God's creation, because he makes everything beautiful in his time. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, we thank you and we bless you. May we know, Lord, that we have been created fearfully and wonderfully, and may we do all to your glory. And so we commit this function to you, Lord God, every aspect of it. And we thank you, Lord, for journeying mercies for all who are on their way. And that, Lord, when we leave here, we will glorify and magnify your name continually. This we pray through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. We invite the musician to give us a selection.
absolutely fantastic. Goodness of God, all my life you have been faithful. And I think the women in the room would acknowledge that all their lives, God has been faithful to you. I'm speaking on their behalf because I understand how this thing goes. Thank you so very much, Warren. Well done. Absolutely beautiful. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let me do the formal welcome and introduction. The Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Ms. Andrea McLean, Principal Director, Corporate Services in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Mr. Lendworth Fulton, President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. He joins us online, but he is well represented in this room. You'll hear more about that a little bit later on. We also greet the members of the Board of Directors of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mrs. Janet Pullen, Marketing Projects Training Manager with the Jamaica Agricultural Society. She's wearing two hats today, a little bit teary-eyed now because this always reaches her in places she can't explain. She's chairperson of the Women in Agriculture Secretariat. Distinguished awardees, other specially invited guests, the ladies and gentlemen, students, wherever you join us online or in the room, we welcome you to the Phenomenal Women Conference 2023. Put your hands together. This is always a very well-organized, well-executed event. We do apologize for the late start, but you understand how sometimes these things can happen. So we do apologize for that. For a little bit of context, I am a phenomenal woman. I'm going to proudly declare that I am an awardee from the Jamaica Agricultural Society, and I've been partnering with them since the inception of this function. And I thank Mrs. Pullen for seeing it fit to invite me to come back in this capacity this morning. For those of you who don't know, my name is Althea McKenzie. I'm host of Farm Talk on Power 106 FM. That program in the morning, specially created for farmers and fisherfolk. And it doesn't matter if you're a woman, man, picnic, in between. It's a program designed specifically for members of the agricultural sector, and they just love it. And I thank them very much for loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, from the classroom to the farm to the boardroom, women in agriculture are helping to pave the way for a better future. It is our responsibility to make sure that the next generation of women are educated, they are encouraged and empowered to take on the challenges of meeting the world's growing food, fuel, and fiber needs. Women have been a critical part of farming and agriculture and fishery operations across the world for centuries. But now, as women in agriculture, there is a unique opportunity to be the change we want to see in the industry. We must build on the incredible legacy of stewardship, innovation, productivity, and help one another succeed now and moving into the future. I don't know if I yet have acknowledged our keynote speaker, Mrs. Patricia Sutherland. If I haven't, please forgive me. Good morning, Mrs. Sutherland. I greeted her earlier. All right, put your hands together for her. We welcome her. And so, friends, whether it's farm business that feeds the world, the land that you leave better than you found it, although some of us are not doing a good job of that, or relationship that empowers and supports our community, our industry, and our neighbors, there are many ways to build and grow our contribution to agriculture. The time is now for each of us to step up to the plate and take on these challenges. The Jamaica Agricultural Society, they are taking on the challenges. But I don't speak for them, although I could. Mrs. Pullen, I could, right? Yes, she says yes, but she's better equipped to do that than I am. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome to speak to you, Mrs. Janet Pullen, Women in Agriculture Conference Secretariat Chair.
Good morning. I want to say good morning, farmers and friends, well-wishers, those online and those who are here with us this morning. I am standing here with very, very mixed emotions this morning because this conference actually started 20 years ago. And it started because, as you all know, the Jamaica Agriculture Society is a membership organization. And we started out recognizing our women that were members of the Jamaica Agriculture Society and was making significant contribution. But unfortunately, what we found was that a number of our women were not recognizing their true value of their contribution to the development of what was taking place in their families and in their communities. And I had a very, very significant interaction with a farmer, a male. And you know, when you're a parish manager, you're everything. You're the advisor, you are the marriage counselor, and everything. And he came to me one day. He was a very successful farmer. And I noticed, and it's not knocking our men, because I honestly to God believe that our men must represent us. So if they go out there, they must look like us. Eh? But he was always looking so well put together. And unfortunately, his wife was not doing the same. And so he came to me one day and he said to me, you know, John, he said, Miss P, you know, I'm going to do something, you know, and I know you're not going to like it. And I said, what is it now, so and so? And he said, you know, me go left fire. And I said, I didn't answer. I just walked off. And he came back to me and he said, you never hear me? And I said, you have a girl? And he said, no, I will never be unfaithful to her. We're coming from too far. So I said, what's the problem? I say, I want her to get with it. Spend some of the money. No, you don't hear man tell woman that you don't got woman spend enough money. My husband would have afraid to tell me that. And so I said, if that's the problem, don't worry, I'll fix it. So I went into the house and I said to her, so and so, am I gonna left you? And she said to me, what do you mean? I said, well, him not have no girl now, but I tell you something, you see if you play around, him gonna have a girl. So she said to me, so what I must do? I said, don't worry about it, man. You're going to come spend one weekend with me and I go and clean you up. So I got a credit card with $1 million on it. And the gentleman said to me, max it out. So you know, so me want to max it out long time. And I took her in, and the rest is history. As a matter of fact, I understand that she's on a tour right now with her husband down in the Far East. She has not turned back. And so we started this. And then my boss came and saw one of the product, and he said, no man, you have to expose it to everybody, all the parishes. And so we moved to Denby. And then a new president came on and he said, no. We're going to open this thing bigger and better to all persons within the agriculture sector. And that was when the ants opened, because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you realize that our women, tough, and I said, and I use the word tough, because in any sphere and fair and space that you catch us, we're doing well. We have the best pathologists in the world. We have the best breeders in the world. We have the best economists in the world. And when I talk about this, I'm not joking. You have some women in Jamaica that when they speak, they don't speak about Jamaica alone. They speak for the Commonwealth. And we walk past them every day, and they can't even get one national award. And then I realized that if we don't do that for them, if we don't champion it, nobody will. And the idea that we don't blow the trumpet, cut it out. We have to blow the trumpet. If you don't blow your trumpet, nobody blows it for you. Okay? And so, my boss over there know that I want to blow the woman trumpet. And so when I go to him and I say, you know, Mr. Emmanuel, be here today. And we never did want to come because our things doing. But CMM is here because he's helping us to say, let us celebrate our women. So the Women in Agriculture Conference is not a conference for you to come up here, come tell you how to plant cocoa and whatever. We passed that. All of us know to do that. The conference is a feel-good conference. You put on your pretty things and you come up here and we say, listen to me. Lilith Clark, you know music teacher, is my student. And I'm so amazingly proud that I can stand here and honor her for her contribution to education. Huh? And she's not the only one. I'm not going to tell you that because I'm a whole. It's not that. I'm just very proud that I played a part in the lives of so many young women and men, and they're here today that we are recognizing their contribution. I'm Melita Cooper, and I could go on and on. Okay? But what I'm saying here, this conference, ladies and gentlemen, it's not for us to come here and for people to come here to sell nothing or whatever. We don't sell chairs. We don't sell tickets. We come to say, Yolande Gibson from the ministry, and when I called her and she said, what you want again now, Miss Pullen? And she said, okay, I'll try and see what I can do, because she also understands the importance of what we do in celebrating our women. So Women in Agriculture Conference is here, and as long as we are around, it will always be here. Every year we will concentrate on a sector, because we can't keep it open. Because let me tell you something, for the education, we could have given 1,000 persons. We had to go down and dig deep to select the 20, because every 1,000 was valued. But we just could not go for 1,000. We had to go for 20. And so Women in Agriculture Conference, every single year, we look at different aspects within the agriculture sector. Today, we are looking at education. And in our research, it was amazing the things that we learned. The institutions, we had 5 institutions that have played significant role in the development of agriculture and agriculture education and training in Jamaica. We are pleased that today we are going to recognize 4 of that 5. The College of Agriculture, Science and Education, Dintil Technical High School, which many of you might never know. It's the second oldest agricultural institution in Jamaica. Give them a clap. And they're older by 2 years to Nakalva, which is now a Polytech College. And I like to say the new kids on the block, Heart, they're playing a significant role, and we recognize them today. Without saying any more and take up any more time, I just want to tell you that that's the genesis of Women in Agriculture Conference. In whatever way you can help to ensure that we continue to do what we do, please do, and please feel free to participate by calling us, giving your time to, because sometimes we do need added hands. And this year, as I said, we are going into the institutions, and we are going to ensure that we create phenomenal women within these institutions, so that 20 years down the road, I might not be here, but somebody will be standing here to recognize those 20 phenomenal women. Thank you again. Have a wonderful time with us. Uno no left before. Spend the whole day with us. We might not have enough food, but please do spend the day and have a wonderful time. Thank you. Come on. That's right. I want to hug you. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together once again for Mrs. Janet Pullen. Let me acknowledge the presence of Mr. Christopher Emmanuel. He's a shy fellow. Mr. Emmanuel, please stand so everybody can see you, sir. He's not a talker, he's a doer. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Janet Pullen there, herself a phenomenal woman. I don't know who is going to award her, but we need to arrange that. She's been doing this for others over the years. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a series of greetings. We're going to start with the JAS president. We'll hear from H&L Agro, the Development Bank of Jamaica, Heart, and Caribbean Chemicals. So I'm going to invite to bring us greetings, Mrs. Sharon Robinson, representing the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports. Put your hands together for her.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here, and this is my first conference, Ms. Pullen. I'm sure you're going to make sure that you invite me next time. I am really happy to be here. I am bringing greetings on behalf of the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport, as well as the Bureau of Gender Affairs. I do not wish to go through the entire list, the protocol list, because I had a quick conversation earlier with the chairperson, and she explained that she had her list. So with your permission, where is she now? Can I just skip? But I must acknowledge the minister, certainly, in the room. Minister Favour Williams, Minister of Education and Youth. I must acknowledge you. We have had lots of sessions together, and I know that you're in the hot seat now. But when I heard the saxophonist, I said, that's for you. That's for you. All right. So I had a script that was written, but when I heard Mrs. Pullen, it's Mrs., I recognized that this script is not going to take me through at all, because this was speaking largely to agriculture. And I was told that's not why you're here. So it means I will not be able to use most of my script. So I will use the sections that are relevant and then ad lib. So it is an intense pleasure to deliver greetings at this Women in Agriculture conference. As I said, it's my first, and I'm enjoying every second of it. The theme that you have chosen, I think it's awesome, from boots to heels, the achievers, as it serves as a testament to the remarkable strides that women, including all of you here, and the men, I want you to not feel any way when we big up women, because it's so important. Women do not advance at the expense of men. We do it together. But this is an important event where we are recognizing women. So don't be upset or offended if I talk about women a lot. And I'm sure you won't. Thank you. So when we talk about the remarkable strides that women have made, we could spend days talking about that, but I won't, because I know that we have a very exciting keynote speaker in the person of Mrs. Patricia Sutherland, who will come and wow you. She has never failed to wow. So I know she's going to do that. So I'm not going to give you any of the stats that I have on my sheet. But I want to say that the theme, the achievers, to my mind, it embodies the spirit of women in agriculture who have defied societal norms and overcome countless obstacles to make their mark in this often thought of as a male-dominated industry. From your intuitiveness for planting seeds that nurture not just the soil, but your own families, you have shown the world what it is to be an achiever. I heard mention of the persons who are going to be awarded today, and the fact that the chair is one of the awardees. That's phenomenal. I wish for you that you would take a moment to reflect on the progress that you've made and the statistics that tell a very powerful story. I will not go through my statistics today. Just to say, though, that in terms of women in agriculture, if we look at challenges, that's one of the things I probably could talk about a little bit. As the principal director in the Bureau of Gender Affairs, we work with the Jamaica Network of Rural Women Producers, and that's a group that looks at how it is that women are disproportionately affected by a number of things, including lack of access to farms, lack of access to capital, lack of access to a number of services that are offered, and how it is that they can actually work as a group. And so what we have created is an initiative that we call COPE, and the word COPE, it says what it does. It's actually, the acronym is Community Outreach through Partnership for Empowerment, and what it does, it allows all of those groups who are across the Jamaica Network of Rural Women Producers to actually look at how it is that they can shore up what they're doing, increase their markets, increase their acumen in terms of just prowess, looking at how they can compete with what is happening on the global arena, in the global arena, because we recognize we are not just here as a a part of a national space in Jamaica or a regional space, but we're a part of a global village. And so through COPE, we've been able to assist persons through grants that they've been able to use to do phenomenal stuff, acquire plots of land, and they have been able to do lots of stuff, even conferences. Conferences like these, they have been overseas to just talk about the Jamaican experience and how it is that they have used their own experience here in Jamaica to craft something that will allow other women in agricultural sector to expand and amalgamate and just get into things that are very new and cross-cutting. And because we're in a digital age, the importance is how can you, as a person who is doing farming or in agriculture, how can you make sure that you tap into everything that's happening on the global stage? So throughout this conference, you'll be provided with a myriad of opportunities to engage in enriching discussions, I hope, share experiences, what we call good practices, and learn from each other's journeys. Together, we can support a very prosperous network that will uplift, motivate, and empower women in agriculture. So let's just seize this opportunity, particularly those who have been awarded, to forge new alliances and partnerships, leverage technology and innovation to advance whatever it is that we have as a policy framework, and where it is not robust enough, to make sure that we do our part to change that paradigm and to enhance what we need and to change the landscape in order to impact all parties concerned. I want to end with three P's, and that would sort of encapsulate what I think would redound from this particular conference. The first one is powerful. So when I entered the room, I recognized that this is a room with a lot of powerful women. You know, they had this thing that we used to have, powerful women in concert. So this is a powerful conference with a lot of powerful women, and I feel inspired and motivated. Thank you. Another P is that it's positive. I haven't heard anything yet that sounds depressing or any bad news. And, you know, just recently you might have heard the case of, you know, this young lady, 8-year-old girl, and that was something in Parliament yesterday. The minister delivered her keynote speech, and because of the fact that that was the topic, there were no questions asked of her presentation. She did her sectoral presentation, but because of the fact that this topic has come up, it is a gripe to all of us, because Danielle could be our daughter or sister or niece and everybody. So we're all feeling it. So when I saw Honorable Favour Williams, I said, wow, I really know that it is hard for her, because there are so many persons who are speaking about it. But the good thing is that we all agree that we all have a role to play, personally and collectively. And so we agree that we work together for that. So that is, to me, extremely powerful and extremely positive. The third one is productive. And I'm using productive with pun intended. Productive, as you know, producers, and as well as productive in that whatever we learn from this, whatever we gain when we network, we should allow that to be able to assist us. And then to say, the final P is pivot. I learned to pivot during COVID-19. I mean, I could pivot before because I did netball, because I have height. So when I was in school, they said, you have to do netball, you have to learn to shoot. So I did netball and I knew how to pivot then. But the pivot I did when I did netball is totally different to the pivot I had to do in COVID-19. You know, because in COVID-19, yes, you move on one leg and look around, but you don't have a ball to throw. You're looking for opportunities for yourself and for your partners, yes? And so I want you to use this opportunity and these conversations, whatever you're learning from the nuggets and stuff that will come out of the keynote speech, the conversations you're having, those who speak, to use that as a pivot for purposeful positioning. I thank you.
I'm sure you're going to agree with us that Mrs. Robinson really knows how to pivot, because I see her with several pages of speech, and yet she pivoted and ensured that she brought it down to just about 2 pages in my estimation. Well done, Mrs. Sharon Robinson, representing the Minister of Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports. Thank you so very much. Powerful, positive. What was the third P? Productive. And the fourth one? Wonderful. So you were listening to her. Absolutely fantastic. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to invite you to turn your attention to the screen, and the next few presentations are going to be done by video. We will have one from the JAS president. We will have our H&L Agro representative, DBJ, Heart Trust NSTA, and Heart NSTA Trust and Caribbean Chemicals.
The 2023 Phenomenal Women Conference is another in our effort to celebrate the work of our hard-working women in Jamaica, who are all part of the agricultural sector. This year, we will celebrate those who have been in the teaching profession and who have been imparting their knowledge to young agriculturalists over the many decades. I want to congratulate these women, these 20 women, for their sterling contribution to the Jamaican economy, and wish that they will find their certificate and their award meaningful, and it will give them some drive to continue to do their work. It would be remiss of me not to thank the organizer, Mrs. Janet Pullen, for her good work in rebuilding and redeveloping this program, and also the staff and assistance that has been given to her by other people. It is my intention to see to it that this program continues throughout. As you know, this might be my last presentation as president, as I'm demitting office this September. So I wish you well and hope that some of you with these very good awards will also get national recognition for your good work. May God bless you.
Hello everyone, I'm Olive Downer Walsh, the Deputy CEO at Hardware and Lumber Limited and past recipient of the Jamaica Agricultural Society's Phenomenal Woman Award. Awardees, congratulations from H&L Agro and the entire H&L family. We salute you for your continued drive, passion, your diligence to nurture and nourish Jamaica. Commendations to the Jamaica Agricultural Society's leadership for conceptualizing and executing on this annual Women's Conference and Award program. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Edison Galbraith from the Development Bank of Jamaica. The DBJ is proud to partner with the JAS as a sponsor of this year's Women in Agriculture Conference, where women from all walks of life have come together to share knowledge, gain skills, and create lasting connections. As such, we're happy you have joined us to celebrate the immense contribution women make in all aspects of the agricultural sector, as farmers, vendors, managers, owners, financiers, to name a few. We recognize that when you empower a woman, you empower a family, a community, and a nation. So, together, let's empower women in agriculture and transform the future of Jamaica.
Women in agriculture have a powerful story to tell. It's one of stewardship, it's one of resilience and leadership, and from everywhere they are telling these stories. These are the stories that have been told, that have brought the women that are going to be awarded here today. Mrs. Alicia Fulton, Dr. Anita Facey, Miss Audrey Thomas, Mrs. Barbara Smith, Miss Charmaine Wright, Dr. Claudia Dunkley, Dr. Clover Mattox, Mrs. Denise Davidson Clark, Miss Doreen Ogle, Mrs. Jeanette Lawrence, Miss Joy Vincent, Dr. Leonie Clark, Mrs. Lilith Clark Sinclair, Miss Melita Cooper, Mrs. Michelle Sherwood, Mrs. Natalie Wallace Thompson, Miss Norma Jarrett, Mrs. Roslyn Little Blair, Miss Suzette Johnson, and Mrs. Versada Campbell. Put your hands together. That's a list of our awardees for this year. And today we're proud to be recognizing the significant contribution that women are making to agricultural education.
We at the Heart NSTA Trust are proud partners of the Jamaica Agricultural Society-led Women in Agriculture Conference, #From Boots to Heels. It was a natural decision for us to participate in an event that has proven to be extremely rewarding over the years in its acknowledgement of the contribution of women in the field of agriculture. Our women have always been strong agriculture partners and activists, working individually or with their male partners to guard the food chain and secure our food, ensuring that the family, community, and the nation is fed. The Heart NSTA Trust is even more thrilled to partner particularly in an environment that focuses on increasing food security and its impact on our country. Heart believes in and practices equal access to all our training opportunities. Ebony Park Academy, our agricultural flagship institution, is open to everyone, male or female, interested in accessing any training opportunity they are interested in or have a passion for. Our success will be determined by the continued alliance of people working together in the sector and accessing available training programs that will positively impact the agriculture sector and the Jamaican economy. Our heartiest congratulations to the Jamaica Agricultural Society in the execution of the Women in Agriculture Conference. Big up to all the women in the field from the Heart NSTA Trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, Caribbean Chemicals Jamaica is very pleased today to partner with the Jamaica Agricultural Society as we all celebrate women in agriculture. As a company, we are dedicated to supporting women in the field. We are very proud to be a part of this very important conversation. As we celebrate women in agriculture today, let us remember that the future of agriculture is in our hands. Let us continue to support and empower women in agriculture and work together to create a more inclusive and sustainable agricultural industry for generations to come. Blessings.
By the way, those two ladies are actually in the room. Dr. Sasha Shimyu, what a heap of energy. Stand and be acknowledged, please. And Georgia Robinson. Thank you very much, ladies. Ladies, we have some very powerful women working in agriculture, you know, and we need them. The FAO says women make up 43% of the global agricultural labor force, yet they face significant discrimination when it comes to land and livestock ownership, equal pay, participation in decision-making entities, and access to credit and financial services. So the struggles are real. But guess what? We recognize that our women are up to the task. They're not going to back down. Are you women? No, they are not going to back down. They have not been backing down. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite you to put your hands together and welcome to address us the Honorable Favour Williams.
Let me begin by acknowledging our Master of Ceremonies this morning, Ms. Althea Mackenzie. I'm going to acknowledge the Honorable Floyd Green, because I believe he will be here, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Mrs. Patricia Sutherland, Chairman, Joan Duncan Foundation. Mr. Lenworth Fulton, President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. Mrs. Sharon Coburn Robinson, Director of Gender Affairs. Mrs. Janet Pullen, Powerful Woman in Agriculture Secretariat. Yes, we can give her a round of applause. All the officials who brought us greetings from the Development Bank of Jamaica, H&L Agro, Heart NSTA Trust, and I believe Caribbean Chemical as well. And let me say again, good morning. Thank you for the invitation to share in today's Women in Agriculture Conference. This, I believe, is a significant and suitable acknowledgement of the contribution of women to this very important sector of our lives, agriculture. We can all agree that agriculture is a vital sector that contributes significantly to the Jamaican economy. Women have always played a crucial role in agriculture, although, as you know, often their contributions have been overlooked or undervalued. And so this conference here today is to raise the awareness among Jamaicans, men and women, to the contribution of women in agriculture. Thank you. I think I heard earlier on that this conference has been around for about 20 years now. Yes, yes. That means it's sustainable, and I'm sure it will be here for at least another 20 years to come. Yes. History teaches us that women have long been in leadership roles in agriculture. And this morning, I know during the prior devotion, you heard a little bit of that history as well. Today, it would be remiss of us not to recognize the importance of Jamaican women in agriculture. And I guess the men as well, but today it's for women. I grew up in a very small community called Tidix in St. Catherine. And when I think back over my many, many years and my many experiences, I'm realizing that the ones that include something to do with agriculture are memories that remain. And what do I mean by that? I can remember from a very, very young age going with my grandmother during the summertime to pick pimento, and she paid me for that work. Yes. And I can also remember working with my mother as she planted corn. You know, working alongside her with my little whatever to dig holes and put corn in it. Sometimes we don't know the impact of things that we do with our children. And I only mention that not because I have some grand story, but to say that those are my experience with that small agricultural activity. Somehow it has remained in my memory bank. And it's interesting that I'm here today offering greetings at this conference. I don't know if there's a connection, but that's how I am telling the story. Over many decades, education training institutions in Jamaica have provided opportunities for women to hone their skills in agricultural science. And as you know, many of our public schools have, as part of the curriculum, a component aimed at encouraging all of our students to appreciate the importance of agriculture to our economic and social lives. And indeed, I note that you are recognizing some institutions today: CASE, College of Agriculture, Science and Education, Dinton Technical, Nocalvo Agricultural High School, as they continue to provide training that is crucial to the future of agriculture. Last year, in 2022, CASE offered some very interesting courses, and just to name a few, it looked at integrating geospatial tools in food security education and research. It also looked at targeted research and extension interventions for enhanced goat production in Jamaica. It developed short courses that were offered to students and farmers in agriculture and agro-processing. It developed a mobile pineapple processing lab. It also partnered with a number of schools in the US in order to give our students their exposure to different parts of the agricultural sector. These institutions also play a critical role in empowering women in the sector, in the courses provided, in farm management, marketing, and financial management. And recently, I had the opportunity to tour the campus of CASE, and I was blown away in terms of the capabilities of that institution. We haven't yet even begun to develop what it is that they have there. And I know we have Miss Norma Jarrett here this morning. Yes, she's there. A past student of CASE, and I want to especially acknowledge you for your work with the Old Farmers Association of North America, and to say publicly how much that organization has contributed to CASE in helping students there at CASE. Now, yes, please, you can please applaud her. They do a lot of good work. You've heard since morning that women account for roughly 32% of registered farmers in Jamaica, and they're involved in all different areas: veterinary medicine, beekeeping, fishery, agribusiness, but there's still room to increase the number of women in the sector. We also note the efforts of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority to ensure that at least 30% of women are selected as beneficiaries of initiatives such as the Production and Productivity Program, drought mitigation, farmer field schools, on-farm water management, and so on. And we commend those efforts of assistance to women in the field of agriculture. For us in our schools, like our primary schools or high schools, we'd love to hear from you, women in agriculture, as to how we can sustain or the farms, the little school gardens that we have in school. It is a real issue, especially when schools go on summer break. We have been encouraging our schools to partner with community members, partner with parents, partner with the groundsmen they have at school to help to sustain those gardens over the summer, so that when they come back in September, they don't look at it and go, it's brown instead of green the way they left it. So we'd love for this organization to help us, come and speak with us. You may have ideas about how we can make our school gardens more sustainable. So I know that we have a keynote speaker, and I heard the charge this morning for her to be exciting and all of that. And I had to say no pressure, but so I'm not going to be long. I'm going to say now, in conclusion, academic institutions and agricultural instructors have a critical role to play in empowering women in agriculture by providing education, training, support, and advocacy. They can help women succeed in this field and contribute to the growth and development of our country. Let us work together to create a more inclusive and equitable agricultural sector that benefits everyone. Best wishes for a successful conference and continued growth in the sector. And continue to raise the awareness about women in agriculture and your contribution in that field. Our little girls need to know about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. And see, we have a gentleman to assist. Minister, put your hands together for Mr. Pullen. He's quite accustomed to this kind of undertaking. Ladies and gentlemen, certainly you can do better than that. Mrs. Pullen has told me, has charged me with keeping a very tight program, because she says we all have very busy women and men in this room, so I'm to try to make sure that I keep it ticking over. And so I'm going to invite Mr. Pullen to make your way back to the table and invite Minister up. We're going to make the presentations to the institutions, those special awards to the institutions, and we'd love for her to be a part of it before she leaves. So Mr. Pullen, please escort Minister back to the stage. We're also going to invite Mr. Christopher Emmanuel to make his way to the stage. Put your hands together for them. Everybody in this room is special, so you must make sure that when they're coming up, they feel special. Going to invite Mrs. Pullen to make her way back to the stage because she's going to be assisting in terms of what award goes to whom, right? She knows more about these things. Put your hands together for her.
Okay, I just like to just say something before we hand it out. When we started this process and the research was done, we realized that we have senior man, super senior, we have grub, and we have grub-S. For those of you who is not in the agriculture sector, you might not understand that. This morning, when I came in, I met a super senior man. And he said to me, I graduated in 1960-something. And I said to him, in myself, I said, but I never did reach high school yet. So, you know, I just humbly held his hand and I said, thank you, sir. Because I recognize the importance of understanding our seniors. The College of Agriculture, Science and Education is a super senior institution. And I wanted to put your hands together for them, because guess what? Minister, the people them start from 1910, you know? Yeah. And they understand, and every institution should recognize this, that you start somewhere, but if you stay there, so you're dead. And so you have to change with time to remain relevant and visible. And the College of Agriculture, Science and Education has done just that. So, me proud. I'm extremely proud to say to you that I came from the rock. And I'm a JSA. Yeah. I'm an old farmer, and I'm proud to say I'm a senior old farmer now. And so today, this morning, I'm extremely pleased. I was looking at an article on television and I saw Dr. Des Lanze, and he was talking about his institution. And he went back to 1910. And tears came to my eyes. And the reason for that is he embraced his change and the different changes that took place throughout the years. And I'm sure that the College of Agriculture, Science and Education will not be that probably 10 years from now. It might have to add something else. But the truth is that they're understanding their origin and they're building on it. And so I'm going to ask Ms. Patricia Williams, I think, from the College of Agriculture, Science and Education to come to the table. Paulette Williams, to come to the platform to accept, on behalf of the Jamaica Agriculture Society, your award, your plaque. And we are simply saying to you and the institution that just like we come there from, 120 odd years, and you have been there with us. And we are saying to you, congratulations for your contribution to the institution. I'm going to ask Minister to hand that out on behalf of the JS. Mr. Emmanuel, going to help you, but it's not theme time yet. And over to the Minister. All right? So, thank you. Thanks. I'm now going to ask Dintale Technical High School representative, and I'm going to ask Mr. Emmanuel to hand out that plaque to Dintil. A lot of us, we see this institution and we don't recognize it's the second oldest institution in Jamaica in the agriculture sector. And they have been doing a significant, they have not changed their mode of operation. Agriculture still maintains the pride of place within the institution. And they have done a significant job. I know my sister who is in New York is online. And as a graduate of Dintil High School, you know, she's up there, I say, yeah, and foggy, and whatever. I am going to say, well done, Dintil. You have continued to create and to build and to educate some of our finest men and women. And the Jamaica Agriculture Society salutes you. Nakalva. No, you stay right there. Nakalva Polytechnic College representative, and I think I'm going to ask the principal. It's important when principal can stand up and the minister can hand them something, you know, it's a different thing. And so I'm going to ask Miss Natalie Thompson as principal. Big her up, she's principal of Nakalva Polytech Institute. Now she's the third oldest institution in Jamaica. And she just barely missed it, Dintil beat them by 2 years. But they have made significant contribution to the agriculture sector. And I can tell you something. In my community, I used to remember when some so-called big man, and they would go, every summer they would go to Nakalva, go do upgrades. I mean, never didn't know, sir, I did right there, so the college there, because of course, you know, you're near down there, so, but you keep hearing about Nakalva. Nakalva has improved and has changed over the years, but they remain the source of creating and teaching and learning and changing people's idea as to what an agriculture sector should look like. So on behalf of the Jamaica Agriculture Society, I'm proud of my organization, and I have no apologies, to present Nakalva, and the minister is going to hand to her plaque and to say on behalf of us to you that you have done exceptionally well as an institution in Jamaica. Finally, to the new kid on the block, and they have the biggest mouth in here. Yeah, and I salute you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go, you know, I don't have no script, right? But I'm going to just say something. The first time I went to Heart to support this, let me tell you something. At one time, I feel as if I was a part of the Heart family in terms of me I get peer. They are just they're just an amazing group of people who recognize that their contribution to the development of Jamaica is paramount, it's key. And when I talked about, they even have a Sir Patrick there too, you know, so you must understand the thing. It's not just an ordinary institution. And the Mrs. Graham, all of these people, they have always been there and supporting. And so the Jamaica Agriculture Society says to you, new kid on the block, you're doing a fabulous job. So where is my fantastic lady, Miss Dr. Simshu? You're supposed to be up here already. You know, lady of vibes, lady of vigor, lady of vision. All right? Go ahead. And I'm going to ask both persons, come on the other side, flack her, please, yes, and present her on behalf of the JAS. Okay, so we're finished with this special award section, and we still have a representative from the Ministry of Agriculture. It is my department, it is my ministry, and them can't let me down. So if it's even Miss Gibson coming up here to say what the minister wants to say, somebody have to come up here and say it. So I'm not going to stand here anymore. I'm just going to hand back to Althea, and we go to the next stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Pullen. And of course, you can see why we all love Mrs. Pullen. Did you hear her putting Minister on the manners? Yes, man. You can't leave yet. Stay right there. And Minister just stood there and waited to do the next round of presentations. Put your hands together for those institutions. They have done outstanding work over the years, and this is a fitting honor. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining this morning, we have Ms. Andrea McLean, Principal Director, Corporate Services in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Put your hands together and make her feel welcome.
Good morning. Please allow me to apologize for the unavoidable absence of the Honorable Floyd Green and the Honorable Franklin Witter. I am certain that they would have loved to celebrate the women in agriculture today. I bring greetings on behalf of the Honorable Franklin Witter, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. I salute the Master of Ceremony, Mrs. Althea Mackenzie, Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams, Chairman of the Joan Duncan Foundation, Mrs. Patricia Duncan Sutherland, Acting Senior Director, Gender Affairs in the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Mrs. Sharon Coburn Robinson, President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Mr. Lenworth Fulton, as well as the other members of the board of the JAS, other distinguished guests, including those joining us online, members of the media, the awardees, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I am honored to be here at the JAS Women's Conference 2023 and would first like to commend the organizers for ensuring that the women in our sectors are properly recognized for the work they continue to do. There's an old African saying that states, when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Today, I continue to believe strongly in that statement, and I have gone further to add that when we empower our women, we empower our nation. This is consequent to those nurturing, meticulous, and resourceful qualities that women possess that make them fantastic community leaders, teachers, nurses, and of course, farmers. By empowering them, we are empowering the next generations to come, which is why I am happy to be a part of a ministry that prioritizes this empowerment by providing a myriad of support to ensure that they thrive and indeed empower our nation. Once upon a time, agriculture was predominantly for men. And that reality resulted in women either staying away from farming and fishing or being told that there was no room for them in such an industry. However, it is evident that that mindset no longer holds a space in today's society, as I stand here in a room full of hardworking, determined, resilient, and capable women who are contributing significantly to the success of the agriculture and fisheries sector. I should add mining as well. Ladies, Jamaica now boasts over 78,000 registered female farmers, over 11,000 of whom are youth. These are all women who have decided to ignore the misconception that farming is for men and have chosen to be a part of the profession that is responsible for feeding our nation. I look at the women in this conference today, and I see a room full of food heroes who are pillars in our agricultural sector and wider society. Having understood that our women are crucial cohort within our sector, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining has been consistent in its creation and strengthening of programs to support them. In fact, the Agro Investment Corporation has been working to increase the access to lands for women who are interested in agriculture and fisheries. I don't hear you clapping. Now, of the over 500 farmers operating on the island's 8 agro-parks and across 9 agricultural production zones, over 20% are females, with at least 35% being under the age of 35 years. Also, for this financial year, there are 135 women on 826.66 acres of land, and the Agro Invest intends, through its female-driven development initiative, to increase this number by 15% within the next 2 years. In addition, we continue to support our women through our various ministry programs, such as the Production Incentive Program. These are just a few examples that demonstrate our commitment to ensuring that we provide our women with the support they need to do well in this field, as we continue to ensure that by 2025, at least 20% of beneficiaries of the ministry's programs consist of youth. Right. Right, let me just continue. 20% of the beneficiaries of the ministry's programs consist of youth, women, persons with disabilities, or other vulnerable group within the agricultural sector. Women represent a very large portion of the agricultural sector, being involved in all stages of the agricultural supply and value chain in Jamaica. I believe this deserves a round of applause. And further commendations, as it is amazing to see how far our women have come. I am confident that you will go even further as the number of female sector workers continue to increase, as is seen from even the enrollment in agricultural schools island-wide. As I conclude, I want to say thank you to our amazing women. Continue to shatter glass ceilings as you thrive to be nation builders. Continue to be our food heroes as we continue to empower you, so you may empower our nation. I thank you.
Thank you so very much for that very heartwarming presentation. I think recognizing in so many ways the work that is being done by our women in agriculture and fisheries. And that was Andrea McLean, Principal Director, Corporate Services in the Ministry of Fisheries, Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Put your hands together for her once again. Ladies and gentlemen, you must agree that we have assembled quite a spectacular number of women coming together to be celebrated today. I see in the audience Dr. Gabrielle Young. Let me acknowledge her presence. She's a past awardee. And as a matter of fact, there might be other women in the room who are past awardees. Can you just stand? Those women who have been awarded before. I might not be able to identify you all by face and name, but put your hands together. These are past awardees. We acknowledge them. And of course, we stand on the shoulders of these women and the outstanding work that they have been doing in the sector. And as we prepare ourselves for the keynote presentation, which is going to come up in just a bit, let me just use the opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors, because we do have a number of them. We have been talking about our awardees, and we recognize the significant work that they're doing, but we do have a number of sponsors, and we want to make them feel welcome. Very happy that they were able to put their money into Mrs. Pullen's. Is not her pocket it going to? Is into the JAS coffers to assist with putting the function together. But we're very happy that they're able to come on board and support. And so we speak of the DBJ, Eggs and More, Caribbean Chemicals, Water, Grace, Money Musk, and of course we say thanks to H&L Agro, and we'll give you the full list when we come back. Gentlemen, the smooth sound of Warren Harris on saxophone. He's not working. He's enjoying himself. He's enjoying himself. Put your hands together for him once again. And now let me just acknowledge the full list of sponsors: the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Eggs and More, H&L Agro, the Development Bank of Jamaica, Hart NSTA Trust, Caribbean Chemicals, Grace Foods, Water, CASE, the Jamaica Dairy Development Board, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, Veterinary Services Division in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Isratech, Nutrimix, and the Coconut Industry Board. Special thanks to Perishables Jamaica, Sagicor, Money Musk, TMG Omega Limited, and Dr. Grace Lyons. And ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker came in quite early. I know she has been sitting and really just reflecting on the outstanding work that is being done by women in agriculture, but she herself is an outstanding woman, not necessarily in agriculture, but she has been working very hard in other areas. She holds the position of chairman for the JMMB Joan Duncan Foundation, and she stands on big shoulders, that of Joan Duncan. I'm sure you're going to hear more about that when she comes here. But she is also on the board of the JMMB Bank Limited, Multicare Foundation, and Commissioner at the Early Childhood Commission, Commissioner at Violence Prevention Alliance. In the past, she has occupied the position of General Manager for HOFAB Limited, Executive Director Business Operations at Jamaica Money Market Brokers Limited, Operations Manager at Butterkiss Limited, and Council Member at the University of the West Indies, Mona. She's also a distinguished graduate of the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and make welcome Mrs. Patricia Sutherland.
Good afternoon. All right, we have 2 minutes to afternoon. You can't give me that? Yeah, man. But good to be here. Thank you very, very, very much for having me as your keynote speaker. Althea, you're doing a phenomenal job as a phenomenal woman, as our mistress of ceremony today. I know that the minister and Andrea have left, right? But in the room here, but I still see Mr. Emmanuel, Christopher, right? And Sharon Coburn Robinson. And of course, our phenomenal woman who organized today, Janet Pullen. I want to thank you very much. It really, really, really is good to be here. I was wondering where Dr. Shimsu gone, because you're supposed to be my biggest cheerleader. Remember when I said that after wow over today? So on cue, when you see me go so, just like, all right, because, well, I sounded like a horse today, been on the road the whole weekend, right? Disappointing weekend for me, actually. And as I was preparing to come here today, I thought, all right, so after this disappointing weekend yesterday, I have to go give this inspiring speech now. However, I recognize that God no make no mistake. No make no mistake. And so even the act of preparing for today, oh, you're wondering what the disappointment is? Me did lose an election in Southeast St. Anne. Internal, I know, me did see. Context. Yes, but in preparing, I realized that God put me in this space so I could be reminded of my purpose in what I do, and be reminded and be surrounded and supported by phenomenal women while I'm doing this. So today you are my support. And I thank you for that. Right? And I want to particularly thank Janet, because she came up here with an energy.
We have
kind of energy. And when she told that story about how she lifted up that woman in that space, and the success that created, it was inspiring. And to know that she has been doing, this has been going on for 20 years, makes us know that we have a lot to be grateful for in our country. So we're celebrating 20 women today after 20 years of JAS celebrating women. But as we are doing this, we know that we are, and I'm going to follow instructions, Janet, but more towards the end, that we're going to keep this thing positive. Because as I said, I acknowledge that today I get an opportunity to be lifted up by some other phenomenal women. But as phenomenal women in the space, we have to use what we have given. To whom God has given much, much is expected. So we know we have some lifting up to do in Jamaica. So the other part of preparing for this speech, right, took me to do some research and to find papers around different things. So the first part of the research, right, because we're looking for gender parity and equity in Jamaica between men and women. We want us to have good relationships. We want us to be able to exist together, but in a way that we respect each other's strengths, weaknesses, and that there's equal opportunity for all of us to exist in the space, right? And we want to acknowledge that at this point, we have 32% of our registered farmers are women. Note? We don't reach parity yet, but we're on the way. Because when we reach the 50%, since it's 50% of women in Jamaica, then we'll work out. In the world, then we'll reach the parity story, right? But I want to acknowledge as well, and I'm sorry that Andrea left, because I want to encourage them to change that KPI that them have of 20% of youth, women, and disabled being benefits, because that's only 20% for 3 categories. That means the other 80% are going to be men. That's not good. That doesn't work. So they need to relook at that particular KPI, and we're going to encourage them to do that. Right? And as I was beginning to prepare, I tell you, and I'll soon get to the other part, I came upon an index. They call it the Women's Empowerment in Agriculture Index. It measures 5 domains: decisions about agriculture, access to and decision-making power about productive resources. This is, the ability to buy land, the ability to own, get capital, and I believe it was Sharon who spoke about that, and but we all spoke about it because we know it's a problem for women in Jamaica. The third one is control of use of income, and leadership in the community, and then time allocation. Today I want to speak only about 2 of those domains: the access to and decision-making power about productive resources, and the leadership in the community. But I'm going to add a third thing that I'm going to speak about, another domain that I came upon that is not measured in this particular index. And I'm going to read to you from the Journal of International Women's Studies, Volume 18, Number 4. It was done in August 2017 by the Bridgewater State University in Massachusetts, a study on farming cooperatives, opportunities and challenges for women farmers in Jamaica. And you're going to forgive me because a part of it I'm going to read in Patois, and I'm not so good at the Patois. So you're going to have to work with me. Anyway, these by women, I'm starting from before the excerpt, cannot conceal the other side of gender-related problems in Jamaican society. In spite of the increase in women's educational attainment, they are still excluded from many upper management positions, and there are high rates of domestic violence and rape, beginning with young girls at home molested by male relatives. And furthermore, many cases, particularly in the rural areas, go unreported or are never brought to court. We cite this excerpt from Hanif based on her interview with one of the victims from rural Jamaica. And now the reading of Patois. This man who live in the area with me live, where me live. Him see me live by myself, him feel now that him can stay there with me. Him a come help me with the pig and the goat. Me tell him me don't need any help, and him a come anyway. After me see him a come regular, me say to him, look here, if you want to help me with the work, you can go ahead. But me don't want it, and me not interested in it. So, not interested in you. So you have to feel that if you do work here, you're going to live with me. One day him come inside my house, and him a hold on to me, and make himself forward. Me say no, and me push him away, and him hold me down and rape me. Me fight him, but him strong, and him box me in my face and kick me. Me cry, and me go to police. And him text statement, and him hear that me carry report on him, he come back to my house, and he rape me again. Me go to the police, and them start to search for him, but him sight them. He come back to my house again, and burn it down, and threaten to kill me. After that, me get abortion because him get me pregnant. Me have to hide in a lot of places because me not have no home. 30% of women in Jamaica suffer from the hands of domestic violence. 30%. Right? And that's what is reported. Now, based on this, and in the report it says, it could be suggested that the prevalence of violence against women continue to contribute negatively to the level of agricultural activity in Jamaica. And when I read this, I thought, should I bring this up here for today? Because today is a celebration day. But again, I contextualized it. Who better to be aware of this problem? Who better to have the ability to choose to solve this problem than the women who are being celebrated and who are stronger in our society, who can lift up those in our society who are in need? And so, although the area is not covered in the index, it is a real stopper for Jamaican women. And more women need to be protected, and we need to find a way to make this a more inviting and inclusive society in a real way. Now, the positive thing is that me and Sharon were together at Elevator Summit, right? That we arranged a summit, myself, Joy Crawford, Nadine Spence, to bring together phenomenal women and some women who were not yet expressing their phenomenal nature to share with us, so that we could come together to come up with a way and some strategies to strengthen the work that is already occurring in our country to protect our women and to make Jamaica a safe place for women. Now, work is going on, Work is going on. And I want to acknowledge Sharon and the Bureau of Gender Affairs. They're working along with the Spotlight Initiative. So we've gotten some funding from the UN, and some work is occurring in this space. But what we have to understand, and the whole point of the summit was that this is a whole of Jamaica problem. It's not those women's problem over there. It's all of us. Once there's one among us who is not able to thrive and to be safe, we all have a responsibility to create that safe space. We all have that responsibility. Right? And so we came up with some suggestions, because that conference was not a conference about just understanding what the problems were, but around coming up with the solutions and how we could participate and help that to occur. So on Sunday, we should publish the result of that in the newspaper. But there are some things that came out that few little things that I would share with you here. In that, and you'll know this, Andrew, right? That violence is an epidemic in Jamaica. Right? And for if there are any doctors in this room, well, I know that there was at least one vet, that if you have an epidemic, the only way to stop that epidemic or to get rid of that epidemic is to treat it in 3 ways. You have to first interrupt the spread, prevent the spread, and change the social norms that cause you to have that spread. Right? This is the way you deal with epidemics. So we have an epidemic of violence in Jamaica, so we have to prevent that spread. And in preventing that spread, one of the things that came to us, because the Spotlight Initiative has started the domestic violence centers in police stations, we have them in 10. We have to work out a way to support it going to every police station, because we have a chronic problem with violence against women. So every police station, almost every community in Jamaica will have women who are suffering and need that support. But not only that, they need to also be supported in how they deal with the women, because she reported it twice. Even after you report it, where is the protection? How do we create that protective space? So we know when we're coming up with the solutions, we have to talk them through, we have to work it through and make them practical. So we have to work out how to support our police more, right? And we also have to work out how to train domestic violence interrupters within the communities, right? And I don't want you to feel that it's Jamaica alone do this, because there are some other countries, there are domestic violence interrupters, they are trained to just, when they hear screaming, knock on the door to stop the violence from occurring, right? We not knock at door in Jamaica, but we are call, yeah, right? Because we not really knock on door, right? Because we're afraid of dogs, so we call from far. Yes, we probably say whole dog, all right? To prevent the spread, right? We need to make our justice system work. We need to make it possible for, we need to make it possible when a case is brought before the court, it can be dealt with quickly with respect to domestic violence. Because if we don't do that, then it's going to continue. And because this is a person that you live with, it doesn't work. So to prevent it and to the spread, the justice system has to work. And the other part is public education. It has to work. The churches, the communities, to understand, domestic violence and the way that we treat our women doesn't just come because all of our men are bad people. It comes because we have been taught that this is normal and this is acceptable. So unless we change what we teach, because we don't want to lock up all our men, because we love man. We love one here. Yes. Because we don't want to lock up the man, we just want to work out how to behave differently with each other. So the public education becomes important. And that public education both prevents the spread and helps to change the social norms. And that's where now we need to get into our schools. We must not be afraid to talk about it directly to our children. Not to pretend that it doesn't exist, but to say that this is wrong. You do not have to accept this, and you do not have to choose this way as a man in dealing with a relationship. Oh, by the way, Owen Blacker Ellis was there too, because we also wanted to have the men in the space. Right? So I would say to you all here, Case and Hart and Dintil and Nakalva. Case, Hart, Dintil, Nakalva. There was one more. Hart. Yes. How could I forget Hart? How we forget? My cheerleader. Good time to clap. All right, no. But it doesn't only have to be in the high schools. We need to put this as a critical part of every course that we have. Let us have a course designed for how to have a healthy relationship between a man and a woman in our country. Every time we touch somebody, we have that conversation because we don't know how to do it yet. And we want to do it. So we love Jamaicans because Jamaicans are loving and honest and expressive. But we just need to learn how to express ourselves in a more healthy way when we are dealing with each other. So we can do this. So that's my charge to all of you in the education sector. And most of you who are being awarded today work in the education space. Now, so almost everybody? Right? And so therefore, you have a charge. Right? It may not yet be organized. One thing for sure is that the group that will become the working groups coming out of the Elevator Summit will work with you to create that curriculum or the curriculum that we will use to do this for adults and for children. But the conversation starts with us. We can make that change. Right? So that's a big part of my encouragement. So I never really come here to talk about the domestic violence, but it came to me this morning when I was doing my final touches for this speech. And so I put it to you all that we can do this. This does not have to happen. It does not have to continue in our country. But we cannot do it by pretending it does not exist. We must first acknowledge it, and then we can change it. We have the power because we are phenomenal. So, a big part of it that came out of that summit as well, so it's very linked, is our ability as women to support ourselves and to be successful in economic space. And so women in agriculture are being successful in their space, right? But we need to encourage them and help them. And as it was spoken to, the access to decision-making power about productive resources is critical, right? The lack of access to farms and capital, and to, I just coming out of Southeast and almost everywhere you go, anybody say, we can get a bag of Liza. Anybody know? You all should know what Liza is. I didn't know when the first time them asked me, I said, Liza, what is Liza? The fertilizer. But they don't bother with the ferty part. Them just out a bag of Liza. Okay? So the access to the bag of Liza, right? The access to the water, the access to the black tank would be the productive resources that our farmers don't have full access to, right? But as we heard from the minister's representative, if through the ministry women make up a piece of 20%, that won't work to make women empowered in agriculture. All right? So Christopher, yeah, work for do. You see it? Yes. There is work to be done in that space because that's going to be a critical part of it, right? And the other part of it that we really have to work on, the married woman clause is still, I think, on the books, right? So if a woman wants to borrow money for buy land, she have to get permission from her husband. If she married, you never know that, right? All right, so you can't, we need to fix up something there, so. Yeah, man, we have some things to fix up. Yes. But a lot of banks don't enforce it. We just have a form that you sign and you never notice that it was that form you're signing, that to make sure that you say you waive your right, you waive something about that married woman clause thing, right? But the point though is that we have to actively, and sometimes when we're dealing with women's rights, and I will tell you, before I decided to act in this space, I was always wondering why women need to have women's rights. Why do we need feminists? Until I started to do the research and to understand it. So whilst we as women here come from strong families, have had exposure to people who build up our confidence, so we feel so empowered. The majority of women don't come from that space. The majority of women in Jamaica live in a space that tells them that they are second fiddle, that they are less than. And the majority of men Because most of us in this room, a lot of us in this room, have partners that respect us and work with us in true partnerships. But the majority of men don't see that partnership as equal. And so when you step into a space to borrow money as a woman in agriculture, I am pretty sure that the judgment will be very strong as to say, you sure you can manage it? Who are going to help you? You have a man working with you? Never respected for who you are. So we have to do that space, and I can make that commitment today as part of the financial sector. We do have a program for women, but we have to be more explicit in saying we will respect the woman farmer, the woman operating in that space. Right? Because access to capital is critical. Right? But the one that I think is even more critical, because the reason why I ended up reading that paper, because it was a paper on cooperatives, right? And as you can imagine, working in St. Anne over the last few months, I recognize that a lot of people, a lot of farmers don't know the true value of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. They don't know the true value. They believe it is a good source of liza. Yeah, man, because it gives them access to the liza and the black tank. They don't understand the value of the community organization to create that cooperative to make their farms stronger, to make their marketing stronger, to make their accounting stronger. But I would say to you, JAS, I have not bucked it up, but if you have it, we need to strengthen it. What support do they get for their accounting? Do you have a official, strong section of your operations that says for every JAS group or every 5 JAS groups, we are giving them an accountant to work with them, to help the farmers truly account for their profits and to work out how to manage their business more effectively. It's something we need to strengthen. Right? So that's part of my learning out of that experience. Right? And it would go the same thing for marketing. I mean, I was a little girl, but I can think back to AMC. That was the idea. Right? And we have some of those things now, but we don't have enough of it. Right? The truth of the matter is, I don't even know if we understand how many marketers we already have in our system, but we just haven't trained them and made them understand that they are marketers. Right? The same study I was reading said the sustainability of small-scale farming cannot be realized without the dynamic marketing network of women higglers. That's our big marketing, that we don't give them the training to understand how to make it even a bigger marketing. You understand? She emphasized that higgling is a primary role of achievement for rural women. It provides opportunities for economic participation and self-fulfillment, and at the same time for conforming to the cultural expectation of childbearing for meeting child care responsibilities. Meaning that women have to make sure they're available to them pick them when they come home from school. Right? So, I think there is room for improvement, and I'm charging JAS to look at its structure to see how much more we can do on this side of supporting the business aspect of agriculture. Right? Yes, them guys still need a liza, otherwise there will be no business. Right? We want to keep that business going. And we want to make that business become bigger. I don't think that we have put enough effort into moving our farmers from small farmers to medium-sized farmers. Right? so that less farmers need Liza. Less farmers need Liza. So, and they can make it themselves. And that they should be in the Middle East, like Janet's friend them right now on holiday because they make it themselves, right? So that's what I look for, right? So phenomenal women. So that is the serious part of the conversation. Well, that is the part that says what we can do better. But we are here to celebrate 20 phenomenal women. 20 phenomenal women, right? Alicia, Anita, Andreen. Yes, I like it as Andreen. Barbara, Charmaine, Claudia, Clover, Denise, Janet, Joy, Leonie, Lily, Melita, Michelle, Natalie, Norma, Rosalind, Suzette, Versada, and Doreen. I call the names because we have to call the name them often. Right? We have to get used to hearing our name on stage because you have to hear it more often. Right? But as phenomenal women in the room, right? I want us to remember, right? And I want to read this poem for you. I'm sure you have all heard it before. Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people around you won't feel insecure. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So, this quote from Marianne Williamson comes from a book that she has called A Return to Love. And so a big part of what I was talking about this morning or this afternoon with you all is the return to love. The return to love between men and women in Jamaica. To have that healthy love between men and women in Jamaica. So let us together create an environment where men and women can value and respect each other and to learn from each other in a positive way. And I leave you with the last quote from Malala Yousafzai. I don't even know where she come from really, but I have a quote her name. But I like the quote. I raise up my voice, not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together once again for Patricia Duncan Sutherland. Well worth the wait. And, sometimes when we have a keynote speaker, you're going to church and you expect them to blow steam. Steam comes in many forms. You have kettles that whistle loudly and you have some that are so soft. She's the latter. But what a powerful message. What a powerful message. I think we've been given a charge, women, to go out and make the difference and also to recognize that the men are important. What is it that she has said? She has called for a return to love. It's the only way that we can increase the numbers that have been spoken of. And I hope, Mrs. Sutherland, that you do have the conversation about those numbers, that 80-20, because there is still going to be that disparity. And if we're talking equity, and by the way, there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality is not something that we can necessarily accomplish. We need to understand. But in terms of equity, we can get there. But it's going to take what you spoke of, and that's the return to love. We're all meant to shine as children do. And so the challenge is, are you going to leave here today and go back into your own space and shine? Be that brilliant light that you have been called to be. Put your hands together for her once again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the program that I'm just so anticipating. Listen to me now, man. Listen to me. This has been a long time coming for many of these women. For these women, this honor has been a long time coming. And we have to say thanks to the Jamaica Agricultural Society, to Mrs. Pullen and the team, for seeing it fit to do this, to recognize women in this kind of a way. So here's how we're going to do it. Because we're about order too, right, Mrs. Pullen? Yes. So the women are seated at 5 tables. I'm going to announce them. Well, I'm not going to do the announcing. We have 2 lovely young people to do the announcing. Well, they're going to talk about the women. And as the tables are announced, each woman will come up to receive gifts, and you're going to get 2. Yes, man, we're generous up in here. We're not giving away one thing, we're giving away 2 things. And we'll have our partners joining us on stage. So we want to make sure that it is orderly. Once we have announced each table, you'll get a photo op. So each group of ladies sitting at a table, there'll be a photo op for you together. And then once we have done the entire thing, you will all be invited to the stage to come together for that big photo op. You know, the one that includes now Mrs. Pullen and Mr. Emmanuel and the representatives from the Ministry of Agriculture and, you know that one from H&L Agro and Caribbean Chemicals, that big picture that they're not going to find enough space on the stage to hold everybody. That is the one I'm talking about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I have 2 very brilliant young people who are going to join me up here because they are going to be doing some announcing for us. When you have bright sparks, you must use them up. There's a young man who is from the law school. He's a law student. He's a first-year law student. Xavier McFarlane. Put your hands together for Xavier. And joining Xavier is Daniel Pullen, who is a final-year student, microbiology. Yes, put your hands together for them. We're making use of the exceptional voices that they have. And we're now going to turn the spotlight on the first table, table 1. Sitting at table 1, Mrs. Alicia Fulton, Dr. Danita Facey, Miss Audrine Thomas, and Mrs. Barbara Smith. We're going to, and the young people know what to do, so I don't have to instruct them. They're just going to come up and they're going to deal with table 1, and then I come back and announce table 2. So put your hands together and make welcome Xavier McFarlane and Daniel Pullen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alicia Fulton is a dedicated educator who improves lives through agriculture. Starting as a teacher and 4-H leader, she now serves as the National Home Economics Coordinator at the Jamaica 4-H Clubs. Alicia holds a Bachelor's of Education in Home Economics, a Diploma in Secondary Education from the Shortwood Teachers College, and has completed various professional courses to enhance her skills. Alicia has empowered youth through 4-H, community projects, and virtual training sessions promoting food security. Mrs. Fulton remains committed to training and uplifting youth of Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Alicia Fulton.
And let me just step in and announce who is supposed to be making the presentations. We now invite Mrs. Williams-Rodney from H&L to make her way to the stage, as well as the representative from Eggs and More. On radio, there are no spaces. It's called dead air. We don't do dead air up in here. So no dead air. Mrs. Fulton, please make your way back to the stage. Mrs. Barnaby is going to make a presentation. So this is the way it's going to work. Ladies, if you come up here and they give you one gift, don't take it. This is two you're supposed to get. So if you come and they're only offering you one, stand your ground. Don't leave until you get the second gift. Put your hands together for Mrs. Barnaby as she makes this presentation. Just want to point out that one of our awardees is not going to make her way up to the stage. The gifts will be taken to her.
Anita Facey hails from the beautiful parish of St. James. She attended the Mount Alvernia High School, Nakalva Agricultural School, and the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. She went further to obtain her Master's of Science in Business Administration before completing a doctorate in educational leadership. She has worked as an educator for over 12 years, covering early childhood to post-secondary education, and contributed to the educational system in St. Martin. Currently, she serves as the acting institute manager at Ebony Park Academy and has conducted research in soil fertility and bamboo farming. Anita is dedicated to nation building and developing agricultural skills. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, and Dr. Anita Facey.
Mrs. Barnaby, we didn't release you yet from your responsibilities, so you have to come back.
Furthered her education by gaining a Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture and a Master's of Science in Animal Science in the States. She conducted research on barriers to physical activity in rural communities, which has since been published in a scientific journal. The current senior instructor at Ebony Park Academy in Corindon recently completed a postgraduate diploma in education and plans to pursue a doctoral degree in educational leadership overseas. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Miss Audrine Thomas.
And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's real, never do anyone, so one of a kind. No, the way she
Barbara Smith was born in Green Island, Hanover, and attended the Montego Bay Infant School, the Montego Bay Girls Elementary Schools, now Barrack Road Primary, and the Montego Bay High School for Girls. Despite the many obstacles and tragedies she faced, she gained her Bachelor's of Science degree in Natural Sciences and a Master's degree in Human Nutrition at the University of the West Indies. Barbara has taught at numerous institutions, including her alma mater, where she served as principal until 1996. Even after retiring, she has continued to be active in St. James and has served as the chairman of several boards, such as the Sam Sharps Teachers College and the president of the St. James Horticultural Society. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Barbara Smith.
And for this special award, Mrs. Smith is being presented at the table. Put your hands together, keep the applause going for her.
Sorry, Althea. I'd just like to use this opportunity to say to you that I'm also a product of Miss Barbara Smith. She actually taught me at Jamaica School of Agriculture. And not only that, Olive Downer Walsh was also a student of Mrs. Barbara Smith. Barbara Smith is no chicken, my sister. Barbara Smith, just look at her. She has just gracefully grown over the years, and she has not looked one day older. She is vibrant, awesome human being, and so we are not even allowing her to come here. But you know how we talk about seniority. We are going there and to award her her award. Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for your years of service.
All right, so ladies, let me tell you what I'm going to ask you to do. The ladies are all seated at one table. What I'm going to ask you to do, gather around Mrs. Smith. You take one picture there, and then you're going to come to stage. The ladies who presented their awards, don't leave. We want you on stage for one of those pictures as well. So we'll do that first, and then you come to the table. So gather around. We need a table with all the awardees at table 1. And these things take time, you know, because when we're fetting and we're celebrating our women, we want them to feel special. We're not going to hurry up and do it. All right? And now, ladies, make your way to the stage with your plaques for the next photo op.
I know everyone can relate.
Can we invite the representatives from Eggs and More and H&L to come back, please, ladies? Giving you a lot of work in here today. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Mrs. Alicia Fulton, Dr. Anita Facey, Miss Audrine Thomas, and Mrs. Barbara Smith. And remember, I had told you that I would tell you what the connection is. Alicia Fulton is the wife of Lenworth Fulton, who is president of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. And now we're going to invite our young people to come back, and we're going to hear about the fantastic exploits of the ladies at table 2. Ms. Charmaine Wright, Dr. Claudia Dunkley, Dr. Clover Mattox, and Mrs. Denise Davidson Clark. Put your hands together for them. And yes, we're going to invite, so that we can make this an even more seamless operation, the representative from the Hart NSDA Trust and the Development Bank of Jamaica.
Charmaine. So we're going to Charmaine Wright. Charmaine Wright has dedicated over 30 years to Dinthill Technical High School, her alma mater, as an agricultural science teacher. She instills in her students a deep appreciation for agriculture as both a lifestyle and a business. Known for her genuine love for the field, she fosters a fun and informative learning environment. Her dedication and accomplishments in agricultural education defy gender stereotypes, showcasing the extraordinary contributions women can make to their country's growth. Through her teaching, Miss Wright ignites minds and nurtures academic excellence, transforming sparks of curiosity into brilliant flames of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Miss Charmaine Wright.
Claudia Dunkley attended the DeCarteret College and later moved to the College of Agriculture. She spent 11 years in the classroom, then migrated to the States and obtained her BSc, Master's, and PhD. This mother of four has been extremely successful in the field of agriculture, especially regarding poultry. Dr. Dunkley has also worked with numerous organizations to train numerous persons all over the world. She has also conducted scientific research about the environmental issues such as greenhouse gas emissions as it relates to poultry production. Much of her research has now been published and guides many others who are in the field of poultry production. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Dr. Claudia Dunkley.
Clover Anne-Marie Mattox is an agriculturist and veterinary surgeon by profession. She has served as director for 3 government boards, including the Jamaica Veterinary Board as chair, Jamaica 4-H clubs, and the Jamaica Toll Authority. Dr. Mattox excelled at St. Mary Technical High School and pursued her education at Elim Agricultural School and the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, a postgraduate diploma in education, and a doctor of veterinary medicine in Russia. After working as a teacher and veterinarian for years, Dr. Mattox currently runs a veterinary care and wellness practice in St. Elizabeth and Manchester. She believes in continuous learning, emphasizing the value of a well-rounded agricultural education. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Dr. Clover Mattox.
Denise Davidson Clark is a graduate of the College of Agricultural Science and Education, where she studied both teaching and agriculture. She gained her Bachelor of Science overseas and is also a trained NCT vet assessor. This mother of one has been an agricultural science teacher for over 18 years. She is the head of the science department at the Irwin High School, where she achieves 100% passes in the CSEC agricultural science yearly. Mrs. Davidson Clark is currently a lieutenant and commanding officer for the Irwin High School Cadet Unit. Her many contributions have also resulted in several awards, especially regarding her leadership and dedication to the 4-H clubs. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Denise Davidson Clark.
Hailing from a family of farmers in Frankfield, Clarendon, Doreen Ogle fell into agriculture from a young age. During her time at Edwin Allen High School, she was exposed to the endless possibilities available in agriculture and home science at the annual Denby Agricultural and Trade Show. After completing high school, she attended the Jamaica School of Agriculture and other institutions to refine her craft as a teacher. Her journey as an educator included the Jose Marti Technical High, where she was head of the home economics department. There, she was able to transform the department and make strides both at the parish and the national levels. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Doreen Ogle.
So one of a kind, until the night that I see your rise. Oh, yes.
While that is taking place, I'm going to ask the standby once again, or representative from H&L, and she will be joined. You have lots of work to do here today. Mrs. Michelle Williams-Rodney, she'll be joined by Yolanda Gibson from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining. Ladies, make your way up.
Janet Lawrence has always had a love for agriculture, which resulted in her getting a Bachelor's of Science, in chemistry, zoology, botany, and other diplomas. She also pursued courses in Europe while working as a post-harvest technology research officer. The mother of one has worked in agriculture in post-harvest technology for years. At RADA, she worked as a post-harvest specialist, zonal director, and finally, deputy executive director. Mrs. Lawrence has also worked on projects nationally and internationally with the FAO. which resulted in her co-publishing a manual on preventing post-harvest loss of produce. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Janet Lawrence.
Joy Vincent has a lifelong connection to agriculture. She attended Bob Walk Secondary School, followed by Pasley Gardens Agriculture School and Elim Agriculture School. She obtained an associate degree in general agriculture from the COA before becoming assistant farm manager. She later became a teacher at Garvey Maceo High School, where she taught for over 30 years. Joy holds a Bachelor of Science and a diploma in teaching. She has made significant contributions to the curriculum development and training programs in agriculture. At Garvey Maceo, she coordinates the 4-H club and is the head of agriculture department, achieving high pass rates at the CSEC level. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Miss Joy Vincent.
And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's right. So right. And I did her friend.
I'm looking.
I never knew what they were.
Leonie Clark has been an educator for over 33 years. She taught at the University of Technology and the Herbert Morrison Technical High School. Dr. Clark holds a Bachelor of Science degree, advanced diplomas, Masters of Science in Nutrition, and a PhD in Family and Child Sciences from Florida State University. She has held various leadership roles and served on committees at UTEC and has guided numerous students in research on important topics in home economics. Dr. Clark was also on national committees and has held positions in professional associations. She is also actively involved in the Jamaica Seventh-day Baptist denomination and has served several academics and has received several academic awards at home and abroad for her achievements. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Dr. Leonie Clark.
Lilith Clark Sinclair has over 25 years of experience in agriculture. She holds an associate degree, a diploma in teaching, a Bachelor of Science and Masters of Science in plant production and protection. Throughout her career, she has taught at secondary and tertiary levels, contributed to the curriculum development, and advocated for marginalized groups in agriculture. Mrs. Clark Sinclair served as Dean of Faculty of Food and Agriculture, among other positions. She is currently pursuing a doctorate in educational leadership. Mrs. Clark Sinclair's community involvement includes working with the Kiwanis Club and CASE alumni, demonstrating her commitment to serving others. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Lilith Clark Sinclair.
Melita Cooper was born in 1970 to a life of agriculture. She attended the Happy Grove High School and the Elim Agricultural School in St. Elizabeth. The agricultural science teacher began teaching at the Manchonil All-Age School before furthering her education. After attaining her Associates of Science degree in agriculture and a teaching diploma from CASE, she attended the University of the West Indies, Mona, where she gained her Bachelor of Science in Biology, as well as some other certifications. Melita Cooper has spent decades teaching at the St. Thomas Technical High School, where she's the cultural agent and is very involved in the 4-H and science clubs. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Melita Cooper.
Michelle Sherwood, a dedicated researcher and program manager. She has made significant contributions to Jamaica's agricultural sector over 26 years. She holds a Bachelor of Science and MPhil in Zoology. Currently, as the Deputy Researcher, or Research Director rather, for Crop Production and Plant Protection at the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, she leads the development of the National Research Crop Program. Michelle has coordinated projects to address pest and disease problems in crop production and has authorized and authored various publications and technical resources in the field. Additionally, she is a life coach and author, amongst other things. Ladies and gentlemen, a phenomenal woman, Mrs. Michelle Sherwood.
Natalie Wallace Thompson has over 20 years experience in agriculture and education. Natalie attended the Herbert Morrison Technical High School, followed by the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. She gained her BSc in Agribusiness and Management at the University of the West Indies before pursuing her Masters of Science degree overseas. Natalie has served as the head of the science department and as an agricultural science educator, where she has over 100% passes in the CTEC Agricultural Science for a decade. In 2022, she was awarded Principal of the Year in Quality Education Circle, and she is currently the principal of the Nakalva Polytechnic College. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Natalie Wallace Thompson.
Norma Jarrett. Norma Jarrett is an environmental specialist who is dedicated to agriculture and nutrition. She attended the St. Catherine High School, the Jamaica School of Agriculture, and the Tuskegee Institute. Norma worked as an agriculture extension specialist and later became the Parish Rural Farm Family Extension Program Manager. She is a certified trainer and registered proctor for the National Restaurant Association Serve Safe program in the USA. Norma is also the president of the Oil Farmers Association North America Incorporated. Norma's achievements resulted in her induction into the George Washington Carver Society in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Miss Norma Jarrett.
Rosalind Little Blair, born in St. Thomas, is an accomplished educator and agriculturalist. She attended the Oberlin High School, where her passion for food and agriculture took roots. She also attended the JSA and then obtained her BEd in foods from the University of Technology. Mrs. Little Blair has been a teacher and a mentor for over 34 years, holding positions at the Almontown Primary School and the Cedric Titus High School. She retired in 2017, but currently serves as an instructor of housekeeping at the Hart NSTA. Rosalind has received numerous awards, including the JTA Golden Torch Award for 37 years of service. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Rosalind Little Blair.
We thank Dr. Stasha Shimiu from the Hart NSTA Trust have come to take over this function. Yes. And now we're going to invite Mrs. Sharon Robinson, representative from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, to make the other two presentations, or to assist in making the other two presentations.
Hailing from the parish of Trelawney, Suzette Johnson was born to farmers. She attended the Elim Agricultural School before enrolling at the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, where she pursued her associate degree in general agriculture. She then went overseas to acquire her Bachelor's of Education in Agriculture before 2 master's degrees. After returning home, she continued her career in teaching at the Tertius Golding High School. Suzette Johnson has been a teacher for over 25 years and has served in several positions in the field of agricultural science across Jamaica. She continues to play her part in ensuring that agriculture education is held at the highest standard. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Miss Suzette Johnson.
Verseda Campbell is a highly accomplished home economist and nutritionist from Clarendon. She attended the Clarendon College, then pursued her Bachelor of Science and Masters of Science in Home Economics in the US. She worked as a therapeutic dietitian at the University of Chicago Clinic and later joined the team at SRC. Her expertise as a nutrition educator resulted in her teaching at various institutions and co-authoring a publication on home economics. She has received numerous awards, traveled extensively, and has joined several professional organizations relating to nutrition. The mother and grandmother continues to innovate with her latest experiment being chocolate tea preparation. Ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal woman, Mrs. Verseda Campbell. This award will be collected by Miss Annette McDonald.
Royalty coming, royalty coming. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mrs. Norma Jarrett. I don't know why she's going back to her seat because she has duties up here. I think her speech is at her table. Yes, she's nodding. So she's making her way back to the stage to respond on behalf of our recipients. She's an old farmer, been working in the trenches for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Safana has been working in the last few years. They have presented over $300,000 US, yes, in scholarships, and it is absolutely fantastic. So this is an award that she justly and rightly deserves. Mrs. Norma Jarrett to respond on behalf of our 20 phenomenal women.
Miss Alicia Mackenzie, Althea Mackenzie, you're making me nervous. I'm talking about all that money. Miss Janet Pullen, Secretariat. All protocols are in place for all the dignitaries, distinguished guests, farmers, advertisers, sponsors. Good afternoon. It is my distinct honor to provide words of gratitude on behalf of this eminent, talented, and beautiful 2023 cohort of phenomenal women in agriculture. Each of us have made great strides in our unique niche in agricultural sector, and thanks to the Jamaica Agricultural Society that developed this platform for us, this unique sisterhood to showcase our contributions to agriculture. We continue to be mesmerized and thankful for the unrelenting advocacy role that JAS plays on behalf of our esteemed salt of the earth Jamaican farmers and rural farm families. This Women's Agriculture Conference is yet another testimony to their advocacy role. We laud your resilience, even amidst adversities, lack of funding, lack of adequate modern technology, severe and extreme weather and climate conditions, emerging diseases, predial larceny, to name a few, and still you plow on. Thank you, JAS. You have our undying support as you continue your quest to help our farmers. Let's propagate the culture of embracing farming as a business that builds wealth and reduces the island's dependence on imported foods, a business that promotes a healthy and well-nourished population. Let's ensure a sustained group of trained agriculture practitioners to guide our hardworking farmers for years to come. Our thanks to Ms. Jeanette Pollen and her team that organized this widely recognized volunteer advocacy Women in Agriculture Conference and the selections you made. You ensure the few women you have chosen have an excellent track record of performance, and we assure you we endorse your choice. We are committed to be the voice that amplifies and shed light on the needs of our female farmers. We will continue to provide the network and resources needed for successful Jamaican agriculture sector. And yes, we can. I am thankful for the dynamic group of proud old farmers that I work with on a daily basis to stimulate scholarships for our young people at CASE. As Wesley Snipes said to Woody Harrelson in the movie White Man Can't Jump, listen to the woman. Women get the work done, not putting down our male counterparts, but we are nurturers. We know when to check our egos. We know how to make great deals. We endure pain to bear fruit. We are no strangers to hard work. When women unite, we are powerful. We are unbeatable. Ladies, let us recommit to our contribution to the agriculture sector, and especially the educational arena. Let us be sure to mentor young women to realize their talents and educational opportunities. Let us reach out to our young girls who also share a love for agriculture and want to improve themselves. Remove the barriers to their successes. Help to validate them and their efforts. And my wonderful brothers, we thank you for your love and support. Together, we can do greater things. We can create greater possibilities. Let's help to improve access to healthy, nutritious, Jamaican-grown food provided by our female farmers. Partner with us because we are agents of change, change for the greater good. Thank you, Ms. Paulette Williams, for selecting the girls, us, from the Jamaica School of Agriculture onto CASE for this award. This has been a day filled with networking opportunities, hearing from inspiring speakers, and lots of fun and wonderful hospitality. Thank you. Have a blessed and productive evening all, and sisters, claim your space as agents of change. And I have to tell you, I'm so uncomfortable standing here in these heels because every day I wear boots to work. So, so I think the theme is so fitting for me, from boots to heel. Thank you and God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together once again for Mrs. Norma Jarrett, Old Farmer. Yes, and you can hear why it is that she is one of the awardees here this afternoon, from boots to heels. Thanks to Xavier McFarlane, first-year law student, UWI Mona Faculty of Law, and Daniel Pullen, final-year student, the UWI Mona, doing microbiology. Absolutely fantastic work. Now, because I can, I feel like giving something away to a gentleman. Yes, because I can. They say I'm to share the love, so I'm sharing the love, returning the love, returning the love. So, Mr. Emmanuel, you can't answer the question, sir. So you can't answer the question. Xavier, you can't answer the question because you're too close to me up here. You're going to reach before everybody else. So to the first gentleman to make his way up here, Mr. Emmanuel, please stay in your seat. And to give me the 4 Ps. The first gentleman to make his way to the stage and give me the 4 Ps. Now, I'm not telling you which gentleman can come. It can be any other man other than the ones I disqualified. None of you remember the 4 Ps? Put your hands together for the gentleman who is coming, and I see him reaching into his mind to make sure that he remembers the 4 Ps. Make your way up, sir. Let us hear the 4 Ps.
Yes. Powerful, positive, productive, pivot.
Fantastic. And so we have a gift for him. Mrs. Pullen, please present. Let me get your name, sir.
Basil Clark.
Mr. Basil Clark. We're going to give you a special gift because I can. And look at the gift too. Basil Clark, you tell me a big thank you, sir. Tell me a big thank you. That's a big gift. Come.
Thank you very much.
Right, and we're now going to invite Mrs. Sharon Robinson from the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports. She has been an absolutely fantastic guest. What a trooper. We're going to make a special presentation to her. Please make your way up, Mrs. Robinson. And Mrs. Robinson, this gift is yours. You're here. You mustn't take it and give it to Minister. All right, and now a very special presentation to be made to a very special lady. Mrs. Sinclair, you come and say who this presentation is being made to and why.
Thank you, Althea. Pleasant afternoon to my fellow awardees. Pleasant afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It would be remiss of me not to make this presentation because my journey was influenced by a phenomenal woman herself. And when I was confused and unable to determine where my direction would be in terms of my career choices, I met through default a phenomenal woman, and amongst others. But when I saw her style, her grace, her panache, and just how she influenced me, I recognized that I must progress in the field of agriculture and later in agricultural education. And so I'm standing here today to recognize her for how she has inspired me and how she has influenced my life throughout my years. I want to take this opportunity to make a presentation to the phenomenal woman, Miss Janet Pullen. I know she did not expect it. I particularly know her style, and so it took me a while to select these items for her. And so I just want to take this opportunity to show you our love and to tell you thank you for shaping my life.
We're going to be sending these almanacs around to the awardees. So this is courtesy of the agriculturalist, Patrick Maitland, and the team. It's the Tropical Farmers Almanac. And in this one, you can find information about growing turmeric and ginger for profit. And there's a wonderful new project that has been introduced, undertaken by ACDI VOCA, that is focused on ginger. It's a spices project that just got underway, was launched recently. And so those of you who are in the room, if you're interested in growing turmeric and ginger and pimento, and trust me, my heart is full, because when I started Farm Talk, one of the first things I started quarreling on air about was the fact that them cut down all the pimento tree. Stripping the tree of the leaves to make oil and cutting down the trees to jerk pork and chicken. There ain't nothing wrong with jerk pork and jerk chicken, but we must be mindful of what we're doing to the environment when we're doing that. So I, for one, am very happy to hear that this project has gotten underway. The project lead is Dr. Ronald Blake, formerly of the Jamaica 4-H Club. So you know this is a project that is in good hands. And so those of you who are interested, reach out to JACRA and sign up. They're looking for farmers. They're looking for partners. If you're into manufacturing of these products already, it's a good opportunity for you to get some kind of funding to push your business forward. So reach out to them. So we will present to our awardees a copy of the Tropical Farmers Almanac, that to be done before they get out of here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to invite now back to the stage Mrs. Janet Pullen. Well, she's already here, and I'm going to invite to join her Mr. Christopher Emmanuel, Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Agricultural Society. They have some additional information to share with us.
Before my boss, I have to behave myself because him pay me, right? Before he gets here, though, I'd just like Althea to come back to the platform, because I really want to say that's what the phenomenal club does. Althea comes here year after year, and she supports us. And she supports us on radio. She's always talking about us, and she's always giving back. And I also want to use this opportunity to say all of you phenomenal women who are in the house, who was awarded some time ago, Dr. Gabrielle Young and many more who came back today to support us. And I want to say thank you. When I called her and I said to her, listen, you know, I need a back page in the magazine, and I want CB Nutrimix. And she said, okay, Janet. And I know she was able to say that because she's a part of the phenomenal woman and understand what it is all about. So we'll be calling on you 2021. Don't worry, we'll be right here. But in the meantime, I'd just like to say on behalf of the Jamaica Agricultural Society to Althea, phenomenal woman Althea. And I'll say this too because we have some young art student one at the back. Remember last year, at the end of the program, I was walking out there and one of the young ladies, she just jumped out the vehicle and she said, you going to have to honor me. And I looked at her, you know, and I tell you, my heart, I felt I could, but you know, throw me so big, me couldn't kick Papa lick. But I felt so good because the objective of this conference, really one of them, is to inspire and to ensure that it kindles that fire of aspiration. And they're back again this year. And I'm hoping that somewhere outside, somebody is going to say the same thing to me. And not only say you're going to do it, but when tell me when. I'm also very, very pleased because like Lilith Clark Sinclair, and when I call her, I have to say Mrs. Sinclair. But when she was at student, we call her Wingy. And she was just an amazing young woman who has just flourished. And I know Suzette Johnson, and I know Melita Clark, and somebody will say to you that I've always said it, we work with the soil, but we are no soil. So on weekends, we go get our nails done and make sure so we're not plant corn for we heel back and those things, you know. And we wear nice things, extremely nice things. And so I'm very, very pleased that we are all here really recognizing our beautiful, hardworking women. I take this opportunity now to ask Althea to come to the stage as we present her too with a gift to say thank you for being who you are. And we'll ask our parish manager for St. Catherine, where this actually started. And at that time, she was my secretary. Today, she's a graduate of the College of Agriculture, Science and Education. To present to Althea. And it's sure to tell you, you cannot be stagnant. You've got to move and change. All right? And Althea, from H&L Agro too. Thank you. Good. She deserves it. Now, my boss, come close to me. Okay, so we've really come to the end, but before we go, there are some things I want to tell you. Now, next year is our gala year. What does that mean? It means that our function will be in the afternoon, starting at 6:30. That is a black tie event. That we want money. That the ticket going to be in US dollar. Converted. But the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that the Phenomenal Woman is now an association, and it's going to be converted to an association and something beyond that. Because there must be a target. There must be an objective, and where we are going. We have an array of women with amount of different expertise, and we have to use them. So it's going to be a foundation, an association of Phenomenal Woman Foundation. And we seek to, one, mentor. It's going to be a base for mentoring our young women. And we can take some boys in there too, because we don't have a problem with that. But the truth is that we are starting from our institution. And it's good that we have 4 institutions here, and we now leave out Sydney Pega. We have to get back there because something wrong, but we're going to go there. But all of these institutions, what will happen after next year is that there will be phenomenal clubs within these institutions. And we are going to make sure that we create pathways for our young people. We can't do that without money. So every 5 years, we will have a gala. And we will go out there and seek funds. So I'm asking you, save the date. Remember, conference is always the second Wednesday of June every year. So although it's going to be a Wednesday evening, we start at 6:30. Come out in your fineries, and it's a black and tie event. So make sure you take the men with long pockets because we want money. Ladies and gentlemen, it was indeed. You would like to know, I don't eat nothing from last night, because pressure they take me because I say, my God, is the rain going to fall? Is this going to go right or whatever? But God is awesome. And he always takes care of his own. This morning, I was so upset with my daughter because I fling at her and I fling that and all sorts of things because so many things were just going. Everything is going late, blah, blah, blah. She said, don't talk me, don't talk to me like that, and blah, blah. And I'm saying, she's an adult, so I just have to go in my lane and just do what I have to do. But I'll say this, that God really takes care of his own. And so if we believe him and trust him, everything will be fine. So while you have lunch, and you're preparing to go back to your various homes, I pray that God will go with you. And that next year, I'll see all of you, including the other 60 phenomenal women, 59, that will come to conference 2024 for our gala event. Save the date. And now I hand over to my boss, which is going to say thank you officially. Sorry, Emmanuel.
Good afternoon. I stand here today as a proud CEO to express my heartfelt thanks to all those who have made this event possible. I would like to say, when Mrs. Pullen indicated earlier, well, the latter part of last year about this function, I said to her that it was too early, but I can see what went into a planned and executed event by virtue of what is unveiled here today. I would like to start by thanking additionally Miss Sharon Robinson from the Ministry of Gender. Again, also Miss Favia Williams, our Education Minister. I'd like to also thank our sponsors, DBJ, Hager Grace, H&L Hager rather, Hart, and Caribbean Chemicals. I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, and that's Pat Sutherland from the Pat Sutherland Foundation, Miss Joan Duncan, our Joan Duncan Foundation. Our awardees, again, congratulations. I'd like to also thank Mr. Warren Harris who have been around with his cameras. And finally, I'd like to thank each and every one of us. It's a productive day, a day that will stand out long beyond today for being part of this phenomenal event. Again, thank you all.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We thank Mr. Emmanuel. Thank him very much for the vote of thanks. We still have things to do. We still have food to eat. We still have mingling to do. Yes. So all of that is to come. And because I am in charge here, I can do whatever I feel like doing. And so Miss Yolanda Gibson, could you please make your way up here? Thank you very much. So we go on in this place. Can do whatever we feel like doing. Miss Gibson, you have been a phenomenal woman yourself. We know that Mrs. Pullen nearly mad you. So we're happy to see that you have come in here in one piece. And so we have a special gift for you as well. While that is being done, let me just once again acknowledge the ladies who have been moving in their boots and their heels. Our list of awardees: Mrs. Alicia Fulton, Dr. Anita Facey, Ms. Audrine Thomas, Mrs. Barbara Smith, Ms. Charmaine Wright, Dr. Claudia Dunkley, Dr. Clover Mattox, Mrs. Denise Davidson Clark, Ms. Doreen Ogle, Mrs. Janet Lawrence, Ms. Joy Vincent, Dr. Leonie Clark, Mrs. Lilith Clark Sinclair, Ms. Melita Cooper, Mrs. Michelle Sherwood, Mrs. Natalie Wallace Thompson, Ms. Norma Jarrett, Mrs. Rosalind Little Blair, Ms. Suzette Johnson, and Mrs. Versada Campbell. Put your hands together once again for our 20 phenomenal awardees for this year. Big thank you as well to all of our sponsors: the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Eggs and More, H&L Agro, the Development Bank of Jamaica, the Heart NSTA Trust, and Caribbean Chemicals. Special thanks to Perishables Jamaica, Sagicor, Money Musk, TMG Omega Limited, and Dr. Grace Lyons. We had special sponsors for our magazine: H&L Agro, Grace Foods, Water, Wisinco, the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, CASE, the Jamaica Dairy Development Board, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, the Veterinary Services Division in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Isratech, Nutrimix, Caribbean Chemicals, Heart NSTA Trust, the Development Bank of Jamaica, and the Coconut Industry Board, and the spectacular works of art done by Captured Art. And again, I tell you that if you're leaving, pick up a card at the door. It will make a fantastic gift. I'm certain that when you hang these up in your houses, ladies, everybody's going to come and say, where you get that? You better have the information for Captured Art to share with them, or they're going to steal the one that you have. And we don't want that to happen. All right. And we're going to ask that, as lovely as these centerpieces are, please let them stay at the table. Thank you very much. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have some giveaways. And because I can give away to whoever I feel like. So, I don't know. I feel like giving away something to a media man. Yes. A media man. I'm not even going to ask him no question. And I'm going to leave it to Mrs. Janet Pullen to make the presentation. You can choose whatever you're going to give to this media man. But ladies and gentlemen, there is one gentleman in here who has been doing a significant amount of work in agriculture, writing for the main newspaper in the country over a significant period of time. And I stand on the shoulders of people like Christopher Serju. Put your hands together for him. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Pullen to make a special presentation to him. You see, he's a very quiet fellow, you know. Doesn't say much, except with his pen. So because I can, I'm going to ask that this special presentation be made to Christopher. Does outstanding work in agricultural journalism in this country. Put your hands together for him.